Hey folks, MACT back, and hey, I did that video just here recently on the oil and going to a 10W30 oil in your 3.7 and 3.5 Duratecs for your Ford Edges and other engines that are in other vehicles, and how the 10W30 doesn't really affect the engine at all. Been running it for a while. But then somebody popped up with a question. It says, Bill, how do we trust you in this to know that this 10W30 is better for the engine than the 5W20? And I started thinking, I says, you know what? I've been doing oil testing for almost ever on this vehicle. And guess what? I got oil tests from when I was doing 520 and all the way up until now. And I've got many oil tests. So I'm just going to go back 4 years, so to speak, on the oil testing. And I don't even know what the mileage was. I want to say is around at 100,000. And the first one we're going to say, it says 114. Well, that is by hours, because back then I was doing oil changes to check and see what the hours would be and what the results would be for the hours. And it didn't really correlate to the miles. And my wife was using it as a mom bus at the time, so it had a ton of idle and city hours in it. So it had a lot of idle time. Hardest thing you could ever do to an engine. And I was running it that way. Then the testing that I'm doing, I'm running long distance highway runs. So for this first one in comparison, back in February 18th of 2018, I was running 5W20. And I had a aluminum of 7, I had a chromium of 0, and then I had a iron of 5 and a copper of 5, with lead and tin being 0. Now going down and going up in miles, okay, going up in miles at 166,222 miles, you'll see it up over here. Okay, you'll see that in December 17th of 2022, yep, this is 4 years later or more, or roughly, and we got a aluminum of 3, a chromium of 0, a iron of 5, a copper of 1, and a lead and tin of 0. Now, if you thinking, follow the numbers here, you're going to say, well, gee, that's better. Well, that oil change was the 5 and 10W30. Okay, that's what I was running in it. So we had the 520, and then we had 166,000. We had the 10W. Okay, higher mileage, less wear. So hey, newer engine, more wear. Higher mileage engine, less wear. 10W30. Next year, in January, February, March, April 27th of 2018, I had a aluminum of 5. This is a 5W20. I had 0 chromium, had 4 parts per million iron, had 3 parts per million copper, and then I had 0 and 0 for the lead for the 520 back in 2018 there. Then going down to the March of 20th of 2023 at 167,000 miles, and the mileage is really close here. For whatever reason, I don't know why this is going this way. I think there's a mess up someplace, but I'm not sure where it was. I'm thinking we got a little change up here in what was going on. But it had 9,000 miles on it at this point, and I had the 10W30 running in it, and we had the 5 parts per million, and then we had 0 for aluminum, and we had 0 for chromium. We had 5 parts for iron, and then we had 1 part for copper. Okay, so a little bit different test at this point, but still 0 for lead. Now we're going to move up to the point I had 140 for the 5W20. I had 140 hours on that oil at 106,000 miles, and this is June 29th of 2018. And the oil testing for that one, for the 520, was aluminum was 6, chromium 0, iron was 5, copper was 4, and then 0 and 0 for lead and tin. Then after 10,000 miles at 177,718 miles on this engine, June 11th of 2023, not that far away, huh? Ran the oil, 10W30, and I had 5 parts per million aluminum. Chromium was 0, iron was 8, copper was 1, and then we had a 0 for lead and tin. Okay, so yeah, it did go up in the iron, but still overall it was doing really good as far as everything else. So the iron went up, but if you do the overall metal count on that one, let's see, we had 6, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 for the 520, and then we have 8, 13, 14 parts per million metal wear for the 10W30, so 1 parts per million less. Hey, older engine, higher mileage, longer oil runs, and yet it still had less metal count in it overall than any of the other 520s there. So, you know, we're seeing a trend here. You would think your metal count would go up as the engine gets older, but in case this, what we got is we're going equal or slightly down as far as the metals go. So is the 5W and 10W30 doing better for the older engine? Yeah, because when it was younger, it had higher metal counts. So as it gets older, you think higher metal counts, but in this case, we're going down. So go figure. And this last test compared to October 16th of 2018, when we had 108,863 miles for a 520 at 150 hours on it. We had an aluminum of 6, and then we had a 0 for chromium, a 4 for iron, and then a 6 for copper, and then a 0 for lead and a 0 for tin. Then we go down for another 9,000 mile run at 186,727 miles. This is just recently, September 5th, 2023, just last month. Okay, 10W30, 5W30 is what I'm running in it, and we had aluminum of 6, we had chromium of 0, we had a iron of 7, and then we had a copper of 2. So if we go down and look at it, we had a 6 and a 4, that's 10, that's 16. We have a 6 and a 7, okay, that's 13, 14, 15. So we have a 15 parts per million for the 5 or 10W30 for almost, we're 186,000. We have that, and then we have a 10, 16 for that. So guess what? We had less metal wear again this most recent test. Even though you think, well, it's higher, it's not, it's lower. So the numbers are going down and staying down. Does that make the engine last longer in its whole life? If we have a trend and I'm losing metal when I was running 520, it would keep going up, folks. That means I'd have a shorter engine life. But with the 10W30, I'm staying equal, or actually each oil test, I'm going down a little. So I'm extending the engine life using the 10W30. You know, do the math. I mean, we're going to take every, just like Ford and everybody, they do these oils and everything, they're hedging their bets. Okay, they went to the 520 to get better gas mileage. Granted, 1030, your gas mileage might go down a little bit, but your engine will last longer. Okay, what's going to cost you the most in the end? The engine. These engines are running $4 grand, not counting the core charge, and then all the labor to take and replace them. Okay, done it many times. Okay, and these things are not cheap. Last engine I think was $3,700 just for a bare bones core engine. That's right. We had to replace valve covers and everything else and add parts to it. There was not everything to it. So when you talk about that, you're looking easily with all the sensors that we're missing on and everything else, you're looking $5 grand just for the engine, to replace the engine. So yeah, can you make the engine last longer by going with the heavier oil? I would say absolutely. So it's well worth the effort to bump this oil up and go to the 5 or 10W30. Even in the cold climate, stick with the 5 because it's all about startup at that point. And 5 is 5 no matter what the ultimate weight is. Don't pay attention to that 30 or that 40 or the 20. That is when it's hot. When it's cold, that's 5. That's why the W stands for winter. 5. It flows at 5 at winter time. So if you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't want to run it 30 weight in my oil. No, you're running 5. Okay, that's all you're running. It's going to start up as a 5. So cold flow, 5. That's what you're getting out of it. So yeah, this is just proof that I got. You guys want data? I got data. Okay, may not be much. You say, well, Bill, it's only like 1 or 2 parts per million. Well, you know what? If I took and I picked up a penny every day, because I didn't spend it, how many pennies would I have after 10 years owning the car? Yeah, think about that. So, yeah, using that heavier weight oil can make that car last longer. And if you guys know, cost of cars are very expensive right now. So why not treat them the way that you want them to be treated, and that's run them for as long as you can by taking care of them and bump that oil up. The only reason they go down to 520 is so they can get the gas mileage. They're doing it at your expense. All the car dealers, all these zero whatevers, they're doing it at your expense because they want the EPA ratings. That's what they want. They do not care whether your engine blows up after 100,000 miles. So I personally care about my engines, so all my engines run heavier weight oil in them. Even my EcoBoosts are running 5W40. Okay? I don't run the 530 they recommend. I run the 540. Why? Higher compression, higher wear and tear on the engine. So that's my input on it. Somebody mentioned they wanted proof. That's my oil testing on Blueberry. The same car that I've been driving, I've done testing all the way back to, gosh, if I went back further, but this started in October of 2021. Okay, and it goes back even further. I can't even go back further than that. So I've been doing oil testing on these vehicles for a long time, and I got a good history on them. So if you think you used oil testing, I got it, and I can prove it. So for you doubters out there, there you go. I just gave you the proof. And as you can see from the numbers that I posted up right over here, you're going to see for yourself that yes, the 10W30 is creating less wear because it's creating less friction. So that's all I got to say about it. Getting all windy on it, but hey, my feet hit the floor today. I'm having a great day. I want you to have a great day too. Band of One's got some great music to listen to. And Mercy Girl, yeah, she's always got something to say to you.
Thank you for watching MACT's videos, and remember to like and subscribe. This is a Mercy Girl production.